Hi, all my beanie weenies, and welcome back. It is day 35, 8:11 a.m. in the Big Brother UK All-Stars house. All of our All-Stars are waking up in the morning. A lot of the girls are in the bathroom, either fixing toilets, cleaning the floor, getting ready. Meanwhile, Craig outside is fixing the clotheslines. That way they can do some laundry, and he collects the trash and puts that away. While in the kitchen, we see that a few of our house guests are starting the day wanting to make food, but none of them seem to actually be motivated enough to make food. We see that Davina has taken Cameron's role at the bar and is practicing making drinks, while Luke has taken the clothes out of the dryer and neatly placed them in the kitchen, which I don't really know why you would place them there. Maybe he's just getting distracted because him and Makosi are having a little bit of a conversation. And at 9:45 a.m., it is time for nominations. So Big Brother goes ahead and gathers all of the house guests into the living room. Now, after the lab twist of last week, we do have quite a bit of new house guests. All of them were rewarded with 25 BigBucks when they entered the house, including Charley and Makosi and all of them. And they were given immunity that they do not have to buy. So Makosi, Josie, Allison, Charley, and Luke, all of you will be nominating but cannot be nominated. And with only one house guest, and that being Cameron, having enough to buy immunity, Cameron will also be safe. Now we're going to go ahead, and Makosi is going to be the first to nominate, and she decides to nominate both Brian and Gemma, giving them both 1 point. Alright, so next up is Allison. And this is Allison's first time voting, and her nominations are for Ryland and also Craig, giving them both 1 point. So now we have 4 house guests on the leaderboard so far, all tied with 1. Now it is Josie's turn to come on into the diary room to nominate. Now, Josie and Allison and Luke thankfully had a couple days to kind of figure out who they wanted to nominate. And in that time, Josie has decided to nominate Isabelle. And surprisingly, the person that chose her to come over to the house, Davina. Now, remember, Davina actually chose Josie because she was, the closest to Davina in the lab. So the fact that now the relationship is low enough for Josie to nominate her is pretty surprising. We see that our in-house celebrity, Isabelle, is getting a lot of attention. Meanwhile, Gemma has come to the diary room and is nominating both Nadia and Isabelle, the in-house celebrity herself. Okay, there can only be one diva in this house. And after Gemma, it is Emma's turn to come to the diary room and nominate. Once there, she places 1 vote on Nadia and another vote on Ryland, giving them both 2 points so far. Next up is our only immune original house guest, Cameron. With this nomination and the purchase of immunity, he is now down to 0 BigBucks, but he uses those nominations to nominate Davina and Gemma Collins, giving them both 1 more point.
Sapa, Belindi. Sawada Bini. Barpasa Kampo.
Next up is Brian, and Brian has chosen to nominate both Davina and Craig. It seems as though that week in the lab did not help Davina when it comes to nominations and growing relationships. But it does give Craig another point as well. And next up we have Pete. And he decides to nominate Davina as well. She is racking up the points right now. And also giving another point to Nadia.
Turab Quink, Kuzip, Cleavar. Oh, Naba.
Alright, so it is Charley's turn to nominate our big bad returnee from the lab, and she has chosen to nominate both Pete and Ryland.
Dimpish. Z. Anduma Ganira. Thenica Seneca. Risalek Kumbar.
Yibs.
Pardu.
And this is Luke's first time nominating, and he has chosen both Craig and Nadia. And with Luke being our last house guest to nominate, we now have our results, leaving us with 4 house guests on the block. Now we have Davina, Craig, Nadia, and Ryland, all facing eviction this Friday. Who do you want to save? Comment down below as many times as you want. Each comment is worth 1 vote, and you have until Thursday. And not 1, but 2 of these house guests will be sent home on Friday. So make sure to comment down below, and you can also go over on my Twitter and comment over there as well. That being said, we also have our last set of ministries, as it will be concluding after this week. Our last big boss is Pete, with our new ministry of love consisting of all of our immune house guests, Makosi, Allison, Josie, Charley, and Luke. All of them will have to face their nominees tomorrow. And then the Ministry of Truth consists of Emma, Brian, and Isabelle. They will be spending the week off and on in room 101. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Peace solely is Cameron and Gemma, and they will be having to spend their time outside or in the bathroom. Meanwhile, our nominees are the Ministry of Plenty, and they will be cooking and cleaning for the house. Sadly, once nominations and everything takes place, our chicken is sadly taken by the Grim Reaper, and I gotta say that I love the little animation they have of him petting him. That being said, we only now have 1 left, and it is our brown hen. And once the Grim Reaper is gone, both Cameron and Gemma are called outside to start their patrol duty, being part of the Ministry of Peace. And they both immediately get into the hot tub and start relaxing. Not a bad job. At 12:37 p.m., a lot of our nominees are in the kitchen doing their Ministry of Plenty duties, either doing laundry or starting up some food for everyone. It looks as though Allison and Makosi are trying to cheer up Nadia and make sure she's not too down over being nominated. And she actually doesn't seem to be taking it too badly. She seems to still be in a good mood, and that's good. How can you not be in a good mood when you're around Allison? Meanwhile, we see that our Ministry of Peace members are now stationed in the bathroom, along with a lot of other house guests. We see that Pete's on the phone for some reason, and a lot of them are kind of just coming in and chatting and talking to one another. Even though nominations have taken place, no one is really in an upset or angry mood, but that all will change tomorrow when the Ministry of Love have to confront everyone they nominated, and things won't be going over so smoothly. Luke A is just chilling in the living room by himself. Meanwhile, Big Brother's gone ahead and called all of the Ministry of Truth members into room 101 to start their shift of the day. Back in the house, Charley doesn't seem to be feeling all that well. I mean, after all, she was voted out of the house by her house guest and then voted back in, so none of them are really wanting to hang out with her that much. She still has a ton of enemies in there, and I think she's feeling a bit lonely, so she ends up going to her bed and crying. Meanwhile, outside, Pete has decided to grill up some corn, it looks like, and almost like vultures or something, all of the women just start swarming Pete and, telling him advice on how to cook and joining in on the cooking. They're immediately scrutinizing everything he's done and start looking up recipe books of their own and adding spices. We see that even Luke A has come over to join in, and this is just kind of a glitch with the join cooking thing. All of a sudden now, a lot of meals that start being cooked, everyone just kind of swarms and starts putting in their opinion. Meanwhile, we see that in the kitchen, Craig is taking on his Ministry of Plenty duty by making up a salad. However, it's not going over too well, but it is making Charley feel a bit better watching Craig fail so miserably. She does love to see people in pain. However, in room 101, there is no pain going on, just pleasure, as the three of them, Emma, Brian, and Isabelle, have all started woohooing, but like inside the walls. Like, I don't even know where they are. They're inside the wall woohooing, all three of them. So I think it's a good group we got inside room 101 right now. Meanwhile, it looks as though the corn on the cob has finished. However, everyone is not done critiquing it just yet. Even while eating it, they're still going back and looking at the recipe and telling Pete ways that he could have done better. At 6:51 p.m., the corn has gone straight through all of our house guests, and a lot of them are still kind of following Pete around as he's trying to go to the bathroom. They're all cramming themselves into his stall to give them more advice and more suggestions for the next time he makes corn, I guess. Meanwhile, almost all of the toilets are broken, the sinks are broken, and they're too busy spreading salt on the floor to really do anything to that. They're too busy still cooking to fix anything. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and let our Ministry of Truth out of room 101. We're going to end the orgy here. Isabelle and Brian don't even bother putting their clothes back on. Or actually, no, Emma and Brian don't bother putting their clothes back on as they just strut their way back into the house after having a good old time with their shift. Let's see how well their next shift goes tomorrow and if this is just going to be a daily sex time for them in room 101. Room 101 has turned into a sex dungeon, I guess. Meanwhile, in the bathroom, Isabelle is still being the local celebrity that she is as she goes and takes a shower, washes herself down, and everyone, especially Pete, enjoys the view. It seems as though Emma has already put her clothes back on, but Brian has not, and he doesn't seem to be smelling all that great from how Emma is acting. And they both sit outside under the afternoon sky eating corn. How romantic. What a way to end a day. And Isabelle, soon after her shower, comes and joins them as well. I guess the three of them are really becoming really good friends.
Ugh, Fwin, ew. Ugh.
At 9:09 p.m., some of our house guests are already calling it a good night as we see Brian and Charley and now Emma head to bed. Outside, though, we see that a lot of house guests are slowly having the same idea. However, there's still a few needs they have to do first, like eat and use the bathroom and stuff like that. We see that Gemma and Nadia are hanging out outside by the picnic table enjoying another meal. Meanwhile, it looks as though instead of heading to bed, Allison is joining in on Gemma and Cameron's Ministry of Peace duties and has decided to take a nap on the bench outside instead. I gotta say, I hate when the Sims do that. I also hate where instead of cleaning up, they just put plates down. We see that Makosi is sad, but yet she still goes in and picks up Luke A's dirty dish to go clean it, and Josie just comes into the room and replaces it. Which is, just so great. Meanwhile, Davina is cooking up some food, a late night snack for everyone. I gotta say, it's a lot more handy when there's a ton of people on the block and not just, 2 or so, because they actually start cooking. When you get the right group of people, the Ministry of Plenty actually works. Meanwhile, it looks as though more and more house guests are heading off to bed. So Big Brother goes ahead and turns off the lights for them. And I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping up the episode here. But I do got to say there will be a few changes going on with scheduling. So we did take that week off. I have started college, so things are getting a bit more stressful for me. However, I think I'm still going to be able to handle doing it weekly from now on until the end of the series. But instead of 5 episodes a week, I'm just going to be doing 4. So there's going to be an episode every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, with Mondays being nominations and Fridays still being the weekly eviction until we get down to our finale, which is creeping closer and closer. So as you guys know, we have 4 people up on the block: Ryland, Davina, Craig, and Nadia. Who do you want to save? Comment down below, and I'll see you guys tomorrow as we get some more twist and get some more conflict and more drama. Bye.